Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are located in this time space continuum. I am Susan, aka Astro Lunachick, and I hope this is recording. I hope this all comes out okay. It is Mercury retrograde, as you might know. And last time I was streaming, there was all kinds of weirdness, and I'm just hoping for the best right now. As we are right now, we're just coming off of a solar eclipse at 9 degrees of Aries. Nine. Thought that was interesting, as this is a 9 year in numerology, and nine does indicate a completion. It also draws us to the ninth house in astrology, where we find the themes of publication and higher education, dissemination of ideas and knowledge. It's also related to legal laws, ethics, and religion as it relates to our belief systems, our philosophies. So it's tied to spirituality, also travel and exploration, growth beyond our immediate environment and the little bubble that we live in. So, overall, overarching does represent the accumulation of understanding and knowledge, but this is an Aries eclipse, and Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So, we are talking about the self, the identity, the id in psychology. I am going to try to share my screen here. It was a little bit weird. I don't know. Let's see what it looks like. It was giving this sort of like a peach motif. Yeah, I don't know. It did that last week too, and it was sort of like a cutaway from one screen to another, and just didn't look right. But let's see what we could do. I'm running two different programs right now, so who knows what kind of fuckery or interference we have in store. I'll just blame it on Mercury retrograde, right? So, oh my goodness. I don't know what's going to happen with the YouTube video here. I'm trying to share screen and record at the same time. Who knows? I'm just going to say it is what it is, and we'll see how it goes. But anyway, back to Aries. Just looking at all the angles here. See, this is the disgustingness that is my screen sharing. My screen sharing game is just not on point today. I need to show a chart. Yeah, so we're going to dissect it right down to the nitty gritty. I think I've got it. By George, I think I've got it. Hopefully, you're not seeing this stupid menu. Who knows? Let's see what it's like. All right. So, yeah, if you can see the chart, we've got the new moon and sun right here, just on the horizon, just minutes after sunrise. This part of the chart here, house number 12, is the house of the unconscious, the subconscious, the hidden. It's the house of dreams, astral, etheric, spirit, the collective unconscious, again, our personal subconscious, the things that are hidden that we're not aware of. And it is intangible and invisible. So it is where we connect to our intuition. It's also considered to be in astrology the house of self undoing, also known as self sabotage. And it's just, where we kind of, I guess, kick ourselves in the ass by our whatever. It's something that we're unconscious of. It's the way we react. It is not beneficial, let's say. It's where we, yeah, it's where we screw ourselves over. So anyway, other things that can come up. It is a new phase, but it's also an ending. It's new because it's a new moon, but it's an ending because it's 9 degrees and nine is an ending. This is a 9 year. This is the year of endings. It Things are ending because something new is beginning. That's the way the nine always kind of rolls. It's like you got one foot in one world and it's the new world, but you're still in the old world, so you gotta end the old stuff. It's like, yes, you're moving into your new position while you are wrapping up the former life. Anyway, it's gonna be a time the next 6 months. I look at eclipses by the 6 month mark. I know that there is a science in astrology that will calculate the duration of an eclipse in terms of the effects on your life. I just don't look at it that way. I look at it as what are we dealing with for the next 6 months? What are we wrapping up from the last 6 months? Since we have these eclipses twice a year, every 6 months, it's like this is the new chapter. What are we finishing from the old chapter? In this case, 9 year, I mean, we're talking about a 9 year period. Look back, I don't know, look back 9 years. That would be where the 1 year would come in, right? So that would have been 2017. The year before that, 2016, was a 9 year. So, you know, we talk about times of endings and it sounds very sad, but you know what? What if the last 9 years was bad, right? And Struggleville, uh, and you're wrapping that up, it just has to do with phases, right? Life is about phases. So again, it's time around the eclipses where we need to sort of pull back and guard our energy, slow down. I could tell you with the aspects coming in regard to Saturn, Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, all moving towards Saturn in Pisces, which is the sign before Aries, right? There's a lot going on in the subconscious. There's a lot being worked through in dreams during sleep. There's just a lot going on. And Saturn aspects will make us feel tired. Mercury retrograde, people aren't paying attention. There's like a fog. Oh, I felt this like yesterday. The moon was in Pisces with Saturn, the North Node, and Venus and Neptune. And I felt so heavy and so like just tired and out of it. So be careful, like if you have to do any kind of precision work or travel, be careful on the roads. This is a time when substances, even over the counter or prescription medications, they just hit you harder. So, people could be taking double doses or forget to take their medication, or if they're drinking or on some kind of substance, it hits harder. So be aware of that for yourself. And so, in situations where you rely on someone else's sharp cognitive abilities, be careful because you might not be impaired, but the other guy might be, or people are just not paying attention. So Mercury retrograde always tends to be a little bit scary for me at time, sometimes on the roads. And um, it hasn't been really that bad. I mean, not the way I would expect it to be. But now Mercury is going to be moving into Pisces, and that will create a mental fog. And that will create all the situations I just spoke about. There's weather, there's, the possibility of accidents or just mistakes that we generally attribute to Mercury retrograde, forgetfulness, things get lost. Uh, if you haven't sent something out that you need to send out, I wouldn't send it out during this time. This is when shit gets lost. So anyway, but probably maybe feeling a little bit better since the new moon, with the moon in Aries yesterday being in Pisces with all of that heaviness could have been difficult. Yeah. I mean, just judging from other people that I've been talking to. Everybody's got a lot of stuff going on, and it's just doesn't feel like we're on top of our game. So, anyway, that continues. So, watch tonight when Mercury goes um, into Pisces as it retrogrades, moving towards a conjunction with Neptune. Well, Neptune. Oh, crap. Neptune's going to be moving into Aries. Wow. They literally switch places. We got a lot going on here. Give yourself time. Give yourself that downtime. Give yourself time to really think about stuff and don't make major decisions right now because the way the energy works with the planets, what you think is true now may not be true once Mercury goes direct. That's like April 5th or 6th. Um, and then when it goes into Aries, and then when it reaches about 10 degrees, the degree where it went retrograde, things will change. It's not bad. It's not good or bad. It just is. And this is the time to gather your information. If you're uncertain, or if you feel like you got to do something, you're backed into a corner and you don't like it, don't worry. It'll change. Just roll with it. A lot of this stuff we're just going to have to roll with. It's just the nature of the astrology and the nature of Pisces and the planets that are in Pisces. We're we're how should we say it? We're threading new neural pathways, which means we have to undo certain neural pathways. It's the only way I know how to describe it because this is like, we're like walking into a new world here. Yes, indeedy. So, again, what else can we look at this? All right. there's a few asteroids involved with the eclipse at 9 and 10 degrees. We have asteroid Psyche and asteroid Salacia. Now, Psyche, exactly what it sounds like, the psyche, um, having to do with the mind and the soul, which is interesting because the sun and the moon represent like ego and or physical and spirit and have a lot to do with our psychological makeup. So I think that there will be probably a theme of psychological and mental health. Uh, there is a fixed star at 9 degrees of Aries. It's called Algenib. Algenib. It's known for mental disturbances, also fever, bad health, accidents with the sun, in conjunction with the sun in ancient astrology, and with the moon, which is what we have. We have the sun and the moon, the new moon. Algenib with the moon is associated with dishonor, scandal, exile. Another connection to what we're talking about, like alone time. So, exile, imprisonment, that's like the ultimate alone time, right? Also, with the moon, it is also associated with bad health. So, we're talking about health, we're talking about the psyche. Clearly, this is about mental health. And in Aries, I think it is the beginning of a very clearly mental health issues among individuals across society, right? And how we deal with that. And if we're talking about imprisonment and exile and 12th house stuff, 12th house and Pisces in astrology, 12th house um, is prisons and hospitals. So, are we talking about a new narrative or discussion around bringing back mental institutions, psychiatric institutions? I mean, that whole segment of our system and how we deal with crime uh, is completely missing. Yeah, I know they have diversion for certain things, um, you know, in terms of, let's say, for instance, like drug rehab in lieu of imprisonment and that sort of thing. I just think that we are probably going to be looking at the legal system. Ninth house. I said this eclipse is 9 degrees. Nine is the ninth house. It is the house of legal. So I think this will start a discussion around mental health and how do we deal with it, and people who are imprisoned that maybe could benefit from some psychiatric help and rehabilitation. Um, so yeah, I think that that is probably what we may start seeing, hearing about, and a lot of scandals. This star, Al-Janib, I think it's in Pegasus. I was just looking at this before, and I'm pretty sure it is in, I think it's in Pegasus. We've got a lot of stars being contacted right now with our last 5 degrees of Pisces. We have a lot in Pegasus, and that has to do with downfall, humiliation, but also people who have difficulty and who are able to rise above and to use their struggle for good and for learning. So, Algenib, 9 degrees. There's two stars there I was looking at that are at 9. Algenib and Arrakis. Gosh, my computer's slow. Yeah. Pegasus, Algenib, and Arrakis, I think, is it um, the constellation Cephas, which is the king. Okay, so Cephas is very different. The Ethiopian king. And Cephas was the wife of Cassiopeia. And um, Cassiopeia is a um, constellation also, and Cephas and Andromeda. And these stars all lie roughly in, um, mostly in Aries, I think. Maybe there's some in Taurus, early Taurus, but it's the king, the queen, and the princess, and Andromeda is the chained woman, the woman chained to the rock. Now, Cephas, I've seen, sorry, Cephas and this star and the other stars in Cephas are associated with actors and actresses, stage performances, comedians. I forget which star, but there was a star in Cephas that was being conjuncted in Aries when Cat Williams came out and made his big interview there on Club Shay Shay. Uh, and he's a comedian. And that was a big interview. Well, I didn't look at his chart, but I'm sure he probably has, it could have been his sun or one of his other personal planets or his midheaven in Cephas. He's an actor and a comedian. And at that time, there were transits of planets that were triggering stars in Cephas. And that's how I remember thinking, oh, there it is right there, comedian. So it's associated with drama, a drama, dramedy. I was going to say dramedy, but comedy and drama and mythology, uh, and people who are able to sort of get into character and really channel that character and become someone else on stage. Very interesting. So keep that in mind. But the other star, Algeny, that's in Pegasus, and it is has a lot to do with being taken down a peg, i.e., humiliation. So just want to check. Am I live? Did I actually go live? No, I didn't go live. Oh my God. See, Mercury retrograde. But I am recording, right? Who knows what this is going to look like? Just close your eyes. Just close your eyes and listen to the sweet sound of my voice. Somebody told me I should do ASMR videos. I think I should do meditation and inspirational recordings, like the ones that just say, fuck it. Just call in sick to work today. You don't have to get anything done. It'll be better if you don't. Okay, I'm just checking my recording. I don't know what's going on here. I'm just disgusted right now because I don't think I'm recording anything. No, I am. I am. I'm recording. I'm not on mute, right? No, I'm not on mute. All right, well, it'll all be pre-recorded. So I guess I'll just go live now on the Twitter. And YouTube will have the recorded version. Oh Lord, that means I'm gonna repeat everything. Forget it. Just forget it. Just go back to bed, Susan. Oh my God, I don't know about you guys, but my dreams have been so weird. Random people showing up in my dreams. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? That's just crazy. Who knows? Maybe they're thinking about me. I don't think it started with me. I was minding my own business. All right, let's just get through this. I'll go live on the Twitter later. Yeah, so I expect the mental confusion and crisis to come. It's sort of an identity crisis and a psychological break because everything that not we, you, not me, I'm cool. Like I figured this shit out a while back. That's why I'm here trying to talk everybody through it. Um, yeah, not that I'm perfect. Shut up. I know. I'm thinking like, oh shit, now that I said that, Saturn is gonna fuck with my shit royally. Anyway, whatever, I'm used to it. So, identity crisis, like the world has changed. Things have changed. I've changed, but who am I now? Or I'm not who I thought I was because my beliefs and everything that I based my philosophies on, my political beliefs and my worldview, that's all ninth house stuff. Everything is crashing down. It doesn't make sense anymore. The veil is being torn asunder. And people will break because it's the. So if you're into self-awareness, if you contemplate on a regular basis and go within, take that time. This is all that 12th house alone time stuff. If you do that on a regular basis, that's like defragmenting your hard drive, which is your psyche. If you don't take that time to check in and say, what's going on with me? Why am I in such a funk? Or why am I angry? Or why do I feel blocked? Or why do I just don't feel happy? If we don't look at that stuff, that's the shadow stuff. So it's like you're going on from day to day and you're in a pattern and a routine and you have a life and you have a situation, whatever it is, and you don't realize that things are changing. Like this is when, you know, You don't see the problems. You don't see how you've outgrown something. You don't see how your patterns are continuing and they're not good and they're not healthy. And now you're getting fired from your job or your partner is leaving you or, you know, you wake up one day and you have no friends. Or you wake up one day and the people in your life you realize are just not there for you and it's not good relationships and you need to change some things or you need to stand up for yourself. So what happens when you've built your whole life around this sort of narrative of this is who I am, this is what I do, this is where I work, this is my partner, my spouse, my um, business, my whatever level of education, it was sufficient, but now the world's changing and I got to learn new shit. What happens if you haven't been in tune with the little still voice inside that's been saying, yo, buddy, you need to step up your game. You can't keep treating people that way, or, you know, you got to learn a new skill, or you have to allow your beliefs to expand and evolve, and we need to be more positive. You know, the eclipse being at 9 degrees is the sun is going to sextile. Well, first the moon will do it, but then the sun in a few days is going to sextile Jupiter. So that's going to expand on this sort of ninth house Sagittarian Jupiterian theme of higher learning, higher perspective, faith, expansion, beliefs, religion. And I think this is also preparing us for the fact that there are people out there that have some pretty strange beliefs. And we're not aware of it, but we will become aware of it. And it'll be weird. Let's just say uh, it'll get a little culty. Now, Neptune is going to be going into Aries. Saturn will be going into Aries. The last time that Neptune was in Aries, there was a lot of activity around uh, spiritual beliefs and groups forming around, you know, very fringe and esoteric belief systems. Around this time was when the Mormons formed. Um, and let's say, you know, Theosophy and, with Blavatsky, and I think Steiner might have come a little bit after this, but I should do a timeline. I was looking at this recently because we haven't seen Neptune in Aries. Aries is new, and Neptune is spirituality, new ways to connect with spirit, ways of forming one's identity and creating a sense of agency and ability to be and act and just to be and to understand our identities through Neptune, spirituality, connection with the divine. So, religion, spirituality, all of those things, and people's beliefs. Now, if we're going to go the cult angle, that involves mental health because some of these things, it's like, all right, that's what you believe, and we can allow and live and let live, and we can allow for people to think and believe whatever they want. But the minute it starts infringing on the safety, well-being of others and violating the law, now we're looking at mental health implications. And, you know, belief systems that involve harming another person and God forbid children, uh, it's time for a mental health check. Okay. So this is what we're going to be dealing with for the next 6 months. Um, Now we look at the nodes of the moon. We have the North Node in Pisces. The North Node is our direction we're moving towards, which is a more compassionate and empathetic um, viewpoint that involves healing and encompasses the whole being, mind, body, and soul, right? That's Pisces. That's the psyche. Remember, we have asteroid Psyche, and conjunct this out of the solar eclipse. Um, and I think that the way that this is going to catch the attention of the public so we can all focus on and become aware of the implications of all the things that I just talked about, the individual, their beliefs and mental health and the psyche and religion and spirituality and why people adopt what others would consider very strange and bizarre uh, belief systems. And we are contemplating that, but the reason why these things become front and center in our narrative, in our discussion collectively, is because there's scandal, which brings me to the other asteroid that is conjunct the solar eclipse, which is Salacia. Now, Salacia is the Roman goddess of the sea. Her counterpart in Greek mythology is Amphitrite or Amphitrite, which is the spouse or the what do you call it? The not the cohort. The what's the word I'm looking for? Consort, which is a sexy way of saying husband or wife, the partner of Neptune. She is the counterpart or spouse, wife of Neptune. They had children together. She represents fertility, the ocean, sustenance. So again, we are coming back to the idea of the ocean and the depths being the collective unconscious and things that are rising from the unconscious. And I have always seen Salacia, which has been about 9 or 10 degrees of Aries for a long time now. Maybe she retrograded. And um, so it could have been around this time that we were having a new moon or something in Aries last year. Because I think it was early in the year when Cat Williams came out with his thing. So 10 degrees, Cephas, again, the actor, the comedian, people in the public, right? And so tying this in with this idea of scandal is, I mean, what turns the public attention to an issue that is pervasive and collective other than a scandal? And Salacia, this asteroid, I've seen it time and time again when there's a transit to this particular asteroid, I've seen themes of scandal. Salacia, salacious, salacious. So um, it is also salty, quote, salty. When we say something or somebody is salty, it's uh, well, unsavory, salacious, it's gossip. Salty is kind of negative or snarky, right? Anyway, it revolves around this theme of gossip, scandal. This is this eclipse. This eclipse is breaking out some pretty juicy stuff. So if you like that stuff like I do, um, political and um, celebrity, I'm gonna say more on the, if there could be a more on the side of celebrity, since we're talking about this degree being part of the constellation of Cephas, and that is actors, actresses, stage people, comedians, which I would encompass to include political figures because I feel like they are actors and actresses in a play which is being put on for us by the cosmos, by God, to say, here, do some self reflection. Take a look at our society and what it's become. Or um, we can see themes of ourself, of our own psyche reflected in public figures. So it's kind of what they're there for. If we want to look at it from a spiritual perspective of why everything happens in this world, um, we have a greater opportunity for learning and development of our own psyche when we are exposed to many different ideas. This is why we watch movies. This is why we self-trigger with going down rabbit holes to understand what the fuck is going on or what is possible. You know, it sometimes I think it doesn't even matter if it's true or not true. It's, can you wrap your head around this? And what would be the implications if this were true or something close to it? So I think it is very interesting the time that we're living in right now. That's the solar eclipse. I think I have squeezed all the juice out of that lemon. Uh, let's talk about the Pisces planets for a second. Mercury and Venus. Venus already retrograded back into Pisces. Venus in Pisces is very soft and compassionate and intuitive and very much an empath. And I think things softened a little bit, especially, with relationships. And uh, Mercury is now re-entering Pisces as Neptune is entering Aries. They are crossing one another. So that is really like crazy. That is really feeling like we're walking between worlds. Like, what did I dream? Like, did I dream this? I would think that there would be a lot of like deja vu weirdness, uh, meeting people, connecting with people, and you feel like there's some sort of higher purpose or that you've known them before in a past life or whatever. Um, Neptune is spirit and Aries is fire. So I would think that this would be sort of a reinvigorating and revival and the fanning of the flames of people's sense of being a spiritual being, right? Not just a physical body having a physical experience, but a spiritual being having a physical experience. It's like the crossing. Mercury, the mind, Neptune is like the higher octave of Mercury, the mind. It's the spiritual mind. And it does feel like there is a mental shift happening here. I don't know. You let me know in the comments here what you are sensing. It does definitely feel like anything is possible. And that's what Mercury, Neptune, like the positive side of it is faith and belief and the ability to mentally like conjure or create a scenario and have it play out. I do think that's possible. It's kind of like this thing of like, wow, I just imagined or saw that happening in my mind's eye and now it's playing out. So, if you do any kind of creative visualization, perfect for this. Perfect. Between today and tomorrow as Neptune and Mercury cross or merge. They are merging. It is the spiritual mindedness. And Mercury is moving towards Venus, which is going to talk to us about our values and our relationships, right? Venus is it's definitely changing and reinvigorating and revolutionizing our relationships. Mercury and Venus together are making a sextile to Uranus in Taurus. Taurus is ruled by Venus. Taurus is physical, tangible. It's also money and resources. Uranus is electric. It's rebellious. It is the planet of the revolutionary. So we are also having this revolution on a financial level, maybe personal, but definitely global, as we are being connected and hooked up to the digital financial system, if you didn't know, having to do with crypto and all that amazing stuff that I just love so much. So if you're into that, check out tokenization on the blockchain, real world assets, and what companies and what cryptos are instrumental and very, very active with that, in my opinion, my personal opinion, not my professional opinion, not financial advice. That's where I think the growth is going to be, is in utility. All right, enough about that. Um, and with Saturn there, Saturn is laying a groundwork, a framework within that Pisces lack of structure. It's laying a structure, but we don't see that structure. Pisces is invisible. Pisces in 12th house, invisible. It's an invisible Pisces structure, Saturn, and network, Uranus. So it is a grid work. It is invisible, intangible. It is karmic in terms of this is something that, it's fate. We're we've, we're fated to go in this direction. What we do with it is a choice. Karma is cause and effect. Saturn is cause and effect. Saturn is repercussions for negative behavior and lack of integrity, all that kind of stuff. Not being accountable, not being mature and responsible. But Saturn rewards, the flip side of it when it diligence, hard work, patience, you know, commitment. So it is forming a relationship here. That's all I will expound upon that. I would say it's going to feel a little dreamy. And as the moon waxes over the next few days, moon will be in Taurus tomorrow, the 30th on Sunday. We're going to see new growth. If you like to start things with the new moon, I recommend waiting until the moon gets away from the sun by about maybe 10 degrees, or at least goes into the next sign, which it will by tomorrow. It'll be in Taurus, and Taurus is good for growth, stability, fertility, resources. So if you like to start things like that, I don't recommend doing it on full and new moons because I like to let the energy speak to me and say, you know, my intuition, listen to that prompting to say, all right, I'm just going to sit in that energy, see how it feels, see how I feel. What direction do I want to go? What actions do I want to take? And the first crescent of the moon is when we usually start things. I mean, this is the way ancient astrology worked. It was by what you saw in the sky. Listen, if you had the first crescent of the moon, but it was cloudy, like they didn't consider that beginning and what it looked like until they could see it, right? So anyway, it seems like things start pretty quickly. Monday, the 31st, again, we're still in Taurus. The moon will be conjunct Uranus, sextile to Saturn, North Node, Venus, Mercury, North Node being our true north, right? The compass, where it points, the direction we're heading, which is Venus related, resources, money, financial aspects, the financial system, our relationships, our shared finances with our partner, our values, Venus's values, our spiritual values. Mercury, we want to talk about it. We want to talk about the relationship. We want to talk about what's growing. What do we want to increase? And what commitments are we willing to make? What boundaries do we need to draw with Saturn in Pisces? Okay. Uranus sextile to Saturn is there's a structure in place, there's a commitment made, there's leadership, responsibility. These are also um, figures of authority, including bosses, politicians, judges, or our own personal authority. And Uranus, where there could be crazy, uncontrolled change, but it is tempered by Saturn. It's like, all right, the structure's there. We see what is being built and put in place, where we're going, the big changes that are coming, but it is tempered. It is sort of, if there's a governor on it, it's not going to go wild. So if you understand, you just look at what is happening if you do watch that with the crypto industry and the guidelines and um, the legal aspects and the framework that they're building. Think of that as, because it will affect the collective, right? How we exchange energy, how we value things. What is of value? That's Taurus, that's Venus. So that's Monday, Taurus, Uranus. I always know that there's like a big burst of energy and a flurry of excitement and things just coming like surprisingly, wow, that's cool. You're waiting on something and it seems to drag, and then it's like, nope, poof, poof, it's moving forward. So that's exciting. Mars is making a sextile to Saturn, so that is still very controlled growth, movement forward. That's Aries in a responsible, practical manner. And we're starting to see the outline of the intangible thing by the action. All right. So if there is any kind of issue coming up, we'll see it and understand what it is by the actions that are being taken. So see how that applies. Tuesday, it's April 1st, April Fool's Day. The moon starts out in Taurus and then it moves into Gemini. We'll make a trine to Pluto and very powerful information, news, beginnings, understandings, conversations, challenges, but Pluto is about overcoming our fears too and recognizing our own power and the power of words, I would say here. The moon will sextile Neptune. Be very cognizant of what's going on, what news you hear, what people are saying. Remember, I said we'll know the direction things are taking by the action. So it could be that the words, the conversations that we have, the words that we hear, the announcements being made, the narrative is to control something because the moon is trining to Pluto, and Pluto is about controlling and manipulating. Not always a bad thing, but like just look at it for what it is. Manipulation. What is the direction things are actually going in versus what are we hearing? Does it cause fear? Was it meant to cause fear? Probably. It's also meant to obscure. Okay, the moon is in Gemini. Gemini is ruled by Mercury. Mercury is in Pisces. Mercury is conjunct Venus. It's meant to obscure what's going on here at the last degrees of Pisces. That's all I'm going to say. The second, that's Tuesday. Moon's still in Gemini. The moon will conjunct Jupiter. Big expansion, big news, big developments. The moon will be sextile to the sun in Aries. This is our new beginning. It's a chance to be a new person. And there's opportunities. Watch for the opportunities. See where the doors open, what information you're seeking. It's not going to be easy right now, but we're going to be seeking definition and clarity. It's just not going to be easy, but it is what we are in pursuit of. Understanding whether it's about money or love, any kind of relationship, going back to the past, looking at how things played out, situations, people from the past. Mercury retrograde does bring things up from the past and people. Also, Venus retrograde. Don't be surprised if you bump into somebody in the supermarket or something, or they slide into your DMs. Hey, remember me? Yes. Click. Um, yeah, case by case basis. Case by case. Just, you know, see how it goes and then what happens when Mercury and Venus go direct. Things change, people change. All right, so that's Tuesday. Wednesday, moon starts out in This could be probably a confusing day, April 3rd. The moon in Gemini makes a square to Mercury retrograde, Venus retrograde, Saturn causes confusion, difficulty, inability to communicate, act. Um, Truth may be obscured or hidden altogether, or people disappear. Oh my God. This is one thing I could see with this Mercury retrograde, with Venus, Saturn, all that Pisces pile up there at the end. And this could be the day when we really find out, they've been looking for so and so, can't find them, can't find them. It could be because they don't want to be found, and it could be because they don't want to talk. I could see this as being a witness, and they're trying to serve them. They get a subpoena. You must come into court and you must testify. They don't want to because they lied, or they feel threatened and they're scared. They don't feel safe. Could be that, but it could be they're guilty AF because there is deception and they'll be caught. All right. Then the moon goes into Cancer later on and it will square Neptune. Hmm. Well, let's see how that pans out. I think there's a lot of delusion happening. This will have to do, well, there is another asteroid there at 1 degree of Aries, Borsisi, and that has to do with religion and belief systems and the lies that we all collectively agree upon. That sounds culty to me. Um, what else is going on? It's just really, really all about that pile up with Mercury, North Node, Venus, and Saturn all coming together at the last few degrees of Pisces. We are wrapping up the Piscean age, but things have to be revealed. The curtain in the temple must be torn asunder. And I believe that's a reference to the corpus callosum in the brain that separates the right from the left. The logical, practical side of the brain and the intuitive, abstract ability to think in abstraction. And that gives us the ability to have faith and believe in things that we don't see, or to have an understanding of it, or to have an experience of it. So imagine not having that veil. That when Mercury moves into Pisces and meets with Neptune and they switch sides, that's like removing that veil or that corpus callosum. That's It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be a wild week. I'm here for it. All right, so the third, that's Tuesday. The fourth is Wednesday. The moon is in the middle of Cancer. It will square the sun. This is our first quarter square. It is sort of now taking center stage, sort of in a um, moment, you know, actions or the urge to act. That's the first quarter. Where's the intuition guiding us? Where are we? What signs are we seeing? What information are we getting? How do we feel juggling between what we see and what we hear versus what we think, what we feel, what our spirit is telling us? And not much else. But on the 5th, so would that be, let's see, am I on the right day? I don't know. I've lost track. By the end of the week, hang on, Monday, yeah, that'll be Saturday. So Friday kind of ends with needing to make a decision. Squares will force you to make a decision. Deciding. All right, so action comes on Saturday the 5th, if that's Saturday, with Moon conjunct Mars. Our feeling and intuition, and the Moon also represents the public sentiment. Conjunct Mars, it's feisty, it's fiery. Mars is still in Cancer. That's a little cranky. Um, but it's self-protective. There's a need to protect because there's a threat. So will there be an attack? Possibly. I always look for hacking, cyber attacks. The scammers are always out in full force with Mercury retrograde. The Moon and Mars are going to make a trine. That's a 120-degree angle with um, Mercury North Node, Venus, Saturn. It's time to solidify a commitment and, you know, maybe even make a plan as far as finances go. Things may come up, that way expenses, God forbid, car expenses. Mars does rule transportation, as does Mercury. Also, if there's an issue with the car, I would check the fluid levels. There could be a leak in the radiator or somewhere. Pisces and Neptune rule oil and gas. Are we talking about gas prices? Are we talking about fuel prices? I don't feel like this would be. Yeah, well, there's war happening, so that will increase perhaps the price of fuel. But there's other alternatives, and that's what we're going to look at. Other alternatives. The moon and Mars are sextile to Uranus. I expect something interesting. I do expect something interesting happening, new innovations, new creative solutions to an issue. Now, I know that there's some asteroids here. I didn't want to make this video too long, but I know that there's a couple of asteroids around the end of Cancer hanging out there that have had my attention for a while now. One of them is Asclepius. That's at 25 degrees of Cancer. And by April 5th, Mars will be conjunct Asclepius. Asclepius is my snitch slash whistleblower asteroid because the mythology, Asclepius was a crow or a raven, I believe, in the underworld that snitched on Persephone to Hades, god of the underworld, for eating the pomegranate seeds. Similar to the story in the Bible about, eating from the tree of good and evil, the knowledge of good and evil or whatever it is. And, so Asclepius, Persephone was not supposed to eat of the pomegranate seeds. Now, the pomegranate is an analogy for the symbol of the pomegranate is our pineal gland, the pineal gland. So this can have to do with, visionary experiences, perhaps. But Ascalaphus itself, that asteroid, I know from tracking it for many years, this is the whistleblowers. With Mars there, I could see somebody disappearing or being found unalived who was going to speak out, who's going to blow the whistle, who is going to snitch. This is what I'm seeing. And it will probably happen. If it doesn't happen earlier in the week, on Monday, it may have maybe somebody is disappeared, can't find them. By the end of the week, they're found, or they're gotten. They got, right? So I would watch for that. So if that's Saturday, then Sunday the 6th, is that correct? I could be off by a day, but the date is the 6th. The moon is in. Well, let me go back to the 5th. The moon in Cancer will leave Cancer and oppose Pluto. That's a dangerous time. It's also like a telling of things to come because Mars will do the same thing when it goes into Leo. It will oppose Pluto, and I just see fighting, war, amping up. There was a few things that I've been seeing, and I won't get into it, that indicate, the planetary aspects that indicate increase in war, and we know we've already seen that. Let's see what Neptune brings, because that's either war over fuel, or, not war over fuel, but like tariffs or embargoes when it comes to fuel, and then prices going up. That's a war, right? Embargoes, tariffs, that's war. So let's think outside of the box. Right now, with Mars and Cancer, the moves, the warlike moves are protective. So they are sort of drawing in internal, introverted, bringing things back home, bringing resources back home, made in America, that sort of thing. But when Mars goes into Leo, it'll be more expansive and ready to go and say, you know what, I've got mine, but I'm going to take yours too. Uh, as far as weapons, Mars's weapons, and Mars rules Aries. Aries season is war season. Neptune in Aries, I would say gas, like poison and gas in terms of the weapons of war, or just really covert that you don't see them. That's Neptune too. Neptune's invisible. Oh my God. This is so crazy. All right. Anyway, um, yeah, so later in the day on the 5th, the moon will oppose Pluto. So look at what's going on. What are the themes to let you know where you're going to be at when Mars enters Leo and opposes Pluto again. Now, check this out, because when Mars was retrograde and opposing Pluto, that's when we had those California fires. So, fires, arson, sabotage. Mm, maybe not so much arson, but maybe. See, back then we had Saturn on a fixed star in Pisces, Anka, and that has to do with arsonists. So it could be that it's not that, but what did it do? I mean, it really rocked LA, right? Those fires, are we talking more about earth shaking now? Volcanoes? Yeah, listen, there's always a lot of more of an uptick of that activity during eclipses in between, before and after. And when the sun goes into Taurus, Mars will be in Leo, opposing Pluto. The sun being in Taurus, being an earth sign, I'm going to say things having to do with earth and water because Taurus is ruled by Venus and Venus is in Pisces. And there's a lot in that last 5 degrees of Pisces that has to do with drowning. Other things at the end of Cancer, other asteroids, Eclipse. Eclipse is 3 strikes, 3 passes. It's the prequel to the sequel. It is going back and getting information so that you can go back to the beginning and find out the origin of things. It's also things that have come up before, didn't get resolved, and then they come up again. It absolutely has to do with retrograde motion. It has to do specifically with the Mars retrograde because Mars is right there going through the degrees that it already retrograded through. So it is trying to rebuild the ground that it lost, perhaps while it was retrograde. It's trying to do things better. And Eclipse is like another chance. Then at the very last degrees, by the end of the week, it could be in Leo and it will conjunct Karma, but asteroid Pandora. Right now it's at 28, 29 degrees. So I'm going to say in a couple of days, maybe a day or two, but maybe by Monday, Pandora could be in Leo. And by the end of the week, definitely it will be conjunct Karma at 3 Leo, Volcanus also at 3 Leo. This is why I'm thinking when Mars gets to this degree, because Pluto is at 3 degrees of Aquarius, which is opposite 3 degrees of Leo. When Mars gets there, it's gonna blow shit up. Hopefully in a good way. Metaphorically, hopefully it will happen in all different, it'll the the game board gets flipped over many times in a cycle. This is probably one of them. And when there's a lot of heavy, you know, psychic pressure in the psyche, you know, there's pressure in the earth and it has to release. So I expect there will be people releasing, acting out, acting a fool. Hopefully it's not me. Hopefully it's not you. But you can make it fun. Like, none of this is like doom and gloom or bad. Actually see these things as very positive because collectively, as a society, as a species, there's things we need to confront, and a lot of them are dark, and they will be coming out. So grab your popcorn. Anyway, so that's about the 5th into the 6th. The 6th, there's a sextile to the sun, pretty positive. I forgot to mention the moon square to Chiron when it squares the moon. I'm sorry, the sun, first quarter square, that's April 4th. Later on, there'll be a square from the moon to Chiron, a little bit of hurt, a little bit of pain, and then Mars, action or reaction or anger or just push forward. And then, all right, back to the 6th. The moon is in Leo, trines the sun, pretty positive. sextiles to Jupiter, very positive, very expansive. We're moving forward. So if there was a crash or a crisis early in the early days of April, which I expect something, we rebound really quick, whatever it is. But it's bringing expansion, knowledge, understanding, information, breakthroughs. It's all quite positive, in my opinion. Let's see, April 7th. Moon starts out later degrees of Leo square to Uranus. More craziness, gossip, who knows. Interesting to say the least, unexpected. Maybe there's you know, uh just I think there's a feeling of like a sense of personal growth and potential that we didn't have before, and opportunities for big change, the potential to, if you're looking to have a new relationship, you know, there just seems to be a lot of compassion and empathy and feeling and depth and commitment and conversations happening and actions being taken, but also, the Leo moon on the 7th, there's a lot of warmth and generosity, and maybe the individual emerges victorious in a way that we did not expect. There's a lot going on behind the scenes that we do not see. Characters that have not come out onto the stage quite yet, but are hanging out in the wings, ready to make their entrance. I think this is all very exciting. So I'm going to leave it there. I'll try to get back in for a checkup during the week. It's just been a lot going on, to say the least. I've got things to do, people to get back to, people going through stuff, reaching out, and I'm like, I am so tired. Like I just don't even have the bandwidth. I gotta go to bed. I can't talk now. Need nap. Hang that sign on the door. All right. So as always, you know where to find me on Twitter, X, Instagram. Um, yeah. YouTube here. Please like, please subscribe, please support the channel. I appreciate you. If you are looking to have a reading, it's a very exciting time to do that, to look, check in and see what kind of things are changing and evolving in your life. What new phase are you evolving into? If you're interested in looking at that, hit me up for a reading. You can DM me if you follow me on any social medias, or you can email me at astrolunatic@gmail.com so we can discuss what's going on and how we should address it. And you can also text me, or, yeah, just text me. Don't call. I don't answer. If I don't know who it is, I don't answer. So you can leave a message. Yeah, you can do that. But you could text me at 914-222-1231. That's the Astro Lunatic hotline. It's like my own bat phone. So I have all different kinds of readings to fit any different need. If you want to look at a particular date, time period, eclipse season, retrograde, solar return, lunar return, progress charts, asteroids, fixed stars, you name it, I do it all. I'm the jerk of all trades, master of many. Just call me master. All right, guys, I gotta get out of here. So, as always, fly over the situation like the Pegasus. Ciao for now.